everybody, and welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speedy race cars. I am Drew Scanlon. Joining me, we have Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Danny?
I'm doing great. I was chatting to my wife over the weekend about random Formula One facts on the way back from picking out goats, actually, but that's a whole other story. And I was like, oh, this is like me training for the podcast. It's been like, a couple of weeks. It's been a couple of months since we talked F1. So, I got to get back in the swing of things.
How is picking out goats training for the podcast?
No, picking out goats wasn't. Talking about F1 was in the car. I was just like having this conversation about F1. I realized subconsciously I was like doing, knowledge calisthenics. But yeah, if you have any names for goats, please send them in. Schumacher could be a good one.
Oh, great.
My sister had a cat called Shumi, actually, for that reason.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, he was a cool cat until he got eaten by a dog, but whatever. We don't talk about that.
Yikes. All right. Well, yeah, let's see if we remember how to podcast. Rob Zachney is also joining us. How are you, Rob?
Not too bad. Hopefully next time we do this, I will have been able to shave. Since I've been in when was our last recording? Did we go all the way into December?
I think we might have yes. First week of December, yeah.
So I think maybe some of the house stuff had already started happening, but basically since then, my home is just fell into deeper and deeper states of disrepair.
Okay.
As I went with a renovation, and admittedly, did a little mission creep happen? Did we start doing some things and then think, well, as long as we got this wall open, why not do a few other things? And in that process, you need to store stuff, and you have to dismantle some things, and one of them is your bathroom. And not the whole bathroom, obviously, you still need to be able to inhabit the house, but you just don't have a mirror, a place where you can shave or do anything.
You got to do the Saving Private Ryan thing of stick a signal mirror on your bayonet
with a bit of gum.
With gum, yeah, and shave that way.
But also, who's gonna see? Well, the idea was nobody was gonna see, right? Just my poor wife. But now I'd forgotten that this was happening, and so
Surprise.
It was like, oh no, I'm gonna be on camera, and that I've been on camera too much lately.
Well, this is the beauty of the YouTube version of this podcast is you can check it out. And I can't believe we're talking about facial hair here without celebrating Drew's incredible Sullenberger he's got running there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, Valtteri Bottas is no longer in the sport, so I had to carry the torch.
That's true. Yeah, you're looking
coming soon. The mullet.
Oh, wow. Can't wait. And then the calendar, hopefully.
That's right. Yeah. Which, you know what? It's still going over here, even though 2024 has gone. It doesn't really have... You're going to have to look really close to see the days. It's mostly Valtteri Bottas's butt.
Okay. They know that no one's really buying this for the days.
I've just rolled it around. I've just rolled it back to 2025. So...
That's beautiful.
Yeah. This month, he's in a waterfall.
Hey, look, he's not out of the sport yet. He's reserved. He's a reserve driver, right?
Yeah, reserve for Mercedes. Yeah,
so who knows? Maybe he'll just force his good friend George Russell to not be available for a couple. Feed him some shitty food or something. Just
that's right. Oh, but they have sort of have beef. I completely forgot about that. Now it's weird. Speaking of weird, welcome to the podcast. And if you are new to Formula One itself, well. Our next episode, which is, I'm looking at a calendar right now, we will probably be recording it the week of March 3rd. Something will go up. Something will go up the week of March 3rd. Perhaps a preseason primer episode that assumes no prior F1 knowledge and explains how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you have happened into this podcast before that has come out, you could theoretically go back and listen to last year's preseason primer, which is episode 257. Also, I should mention, this show would not be possible without our audience over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the podcast, along with bonus podcasts and videos exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all of that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. Speaking of Patreon, Danny, what's been going on, or what will go on over there? soon.
Yeah, at the start of the season, we always have a little bit of a look at the patronage and see if we're going to change stuff around. And we got another month until the season is back in proper. But we're probably going to do a little bit of moving and shaking over there. So listen out for some updates on that here on the podcast and on the Patreon. We did not do our Patreon exclusive pod for January, but Drew came up with the perfect makeup in that one in our big document we have with all the different Patreon exclusive pod ideas. You did a bunch of categories, and one of them was sequels. So sort of like remakes, a double feature, if you will. A sort of here's the original, here's the remake. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow the patrons to vote on this one, to which couplet, which two similar movies that we should watch, and we'll have two podcasts out, one for either of them. But just for fun, I'll just say what they are here. The three we have are Wages of Fear and Sorcerer. I do not know either of these movies, so I'm excited about
Stephen
that.
King's favorite film, Sorcerer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He didn't make it, though. It's not based on one of his books. Okay.
No, it's not.
The Italian Job, the 1969 version, and the 2003 version. Both of those are very interesting movies. And It's a Mad World, everyone's favorite Gary Jules song, and Rat Race, which is more of the comedy angle, I guess. So,
yeah, and less of the car angle and more like it's a race.
when has that stopped us before?
See, the stuntman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd watch that again. That was so good. That's such a weird movie. So you, of course, if you're dying for podcasts about race cars and some less so, of course, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 and you get access to all of our old episodes as well. There's like well over 40 at least patron exclusive pods going back through the years, and most of them are pretty evergreen. And of course, a massive shout out to our incredible title sponsors. These are the names we stick on the good car F1's livery. And we have a couple of people said bye-bye, RIP to Irvine Clinical Research. They're no longer with us. But
listen, this is the off season. They might come back. You never know.
I think a lot of government funding got pulled from them recently as well. So it's the times are tough these days.
I understand.
You gotta focus on the research. But yes, massive thanks to all of them, including Deange, I like that one. It's a me, Ferrario. Get Rich or Die, Ryan. Agave ATX, Cyphus Training, Turf SCS, at Team Blackjack, Michael Maves, Olivia Evans, TelemetryDeck.com, FTC, Drew Stewart, Bailey Foot, Are the Frogs, I don't want to say a curse right at the start of are the frogs making love today? Let me have a listen. Yeah, I hear them out there.
Great.
We had like flooding in Northern California today, so
Yeah, we had torrential today.
Unsurprising. Yeah. Me and my daughter were out collecting frogs last night, so there's probably more tonight. Abraham Getchell, Bunny Fiend, Snigs, Alex Goucher, Max Faltar, Circuit Demon, Troy Stammer, William Rumpf, Lachlan the Maddened Man, Samurai Love Story, and Jason Kelly. Thank you all so much for your support of this podcast as we enter what could be a very fun year. I'm excited about this year, gentlemen.
Well, don't jinx it. I mean, we did last year. We were like, this is gonna suck, and then it turned out pretty good. So
good point. We have the powers.
You never. I guess the point is you never know. So, also, what we don't know, how this show is gonna go. This is more of a loosey goosey. We're just checking in on what's happening out there. There's a lot of news stories since our last episode, which I just checked. December 17th was when we recorded that.
Okay.
So,
month and a half ago. Yeah.
That's right.
I will say there hasn't been that much news. It wasn't
it's all like...
Sometimes we're kind of like, oh, we better do an emergency pod because this... but like actually, the totality of the news that is out there is not all that crazy. So I think it's about to start picking up now, kind of. But yeah, it's not like we missed out on all that much stuff. But it's good to do a refresher on everything. Yeah,
such as it is, we'll go through it. There's some fun stuff in here. Namely, that Lewis Hamilton photo.
Oh, yeah.
In front of the Ferrari HQ.
Yeah, in front of Enzo's house, I think that was it? That building? I think it is.
Is that what that is?
I think so.
It's the one that I always see in Drive to Survive, or the hit film Ferrari.
Yes.
Ferrario.
Ferrero Rocher.
We'll link the photo we're talking about, but it is in the show notes. It's Lewis Hamilton standing. Is he wearing? I should actually have it up with me. In my
Pinstripe
mind, he's
suit
wearing a
and
cape.
He's wearing he's wearing an overcoat, but he's wearing a Godfather style with his arms not.
Got it.
through the arms.
Okay.
Yes.
So he is wearing it just draped over his shoulders.
Okay. But he's standing in front of this historical building of Ferraris in Maranello.
with a F40 behind him, I think it is.
Yeah, it's some like
Which is
Ferraris.
But that's classic 90s kid. You know, it was like a Countach
that
or a
was the
Ferrari
Ferrari.
F40, 100%. So apparently it's his favorite Ferrari, and unsurprisingly so. So yeah,
That is like the official like safe answer.
Yes, you're right.
Like,
Yeah.
What's your favorite Ferrari of all time? And the funny thing is, like, I adore it because like it was in a lot of racing games that time. Test Drive, remember that series?
Oh yeah,
sort of gave it a starring role, and that was a ton of fun to drive. But I will say, styling wise, I prefer like the F40s. Like kind of got this like brute aggression. It's just like
it's a very aggressive looking car.
Wedge. And it's reflected on the interior. Like the F40 was just kind of a no nonsense, no frills, like creature comforts. What are those? This is not a luxury vehicle. This is a performance vehicle. I tend to prefer Ferrari design since then and earlier, right, where it's a little more flowing, a little more like curvaceous, a little more sculpted, and the more like I guess you call it like the Pininfarina like design ethos that Ferrari had, but it was a very cannily staged photo. And here's the other thing. I feel like you never see Lewis Hamilton dressed that way. And I'm kind of wondering, is this dude kept a lot of like classic formal men's fashion on tap for exactly this career pivot?
Because he's like, in Italy, this stuff is gonna just like
where it's like, no, I'm in my Ferrari era now.
Yeah.
Like streetwear Lewis is
right?
on the shelf.
Oh my
And now
God.
it's like classic Italian tailoring.
The only thing it's missing, unless I've deleted this in my head, is like Rocco on like a leash. You know what I mean? Like his dog just
Roscoe. Yeah.
Roscoe, sorry, on a leash, just like hanging out in front of him.
I think he's a little protective because Roscoe's kind of an elder dog now.
Yeah, he's getting old.
So like the pins and needles vibe of Roscoe meeting Leo. There is a bit of
course.
Yeah, you got to make sure the old man is comfortable, is safe. So I feel like Roscoe's publicity shoots are limited, although you know Roscoe's been promoting Lewis Hamilton's dog food brand.
He doesn't
of late.
have one, does he?
So I think he went in on designing a vegan.
Oh, of
dog
course.
food brand.
Yes, got it. Makes sense.
Which I can't vouch for it. Like, who knows? But I do know, like, historically,
vouch for any
it's
dog food.
tricky to give a dog a vegan diet because
Right.
they are not vegan. And attempts to do that can hurt dogs. So my assumption is, you know, he wouldn't be releasing this if they hadn't like locked in on the science of it all. But like, there was, at least as of a few years ago, kind of an issue where like people were being told like be very wary of giving your pets like alternative diets that are like for human moral choices, because that is not really how pets digest.
Circle of life, man. I saw Mufasa. I know what's up. There was a guy I got in. Remember casual carpool? That's like a pre-COVID concept, which doesn't really exist anymore. But I used to take like carpool to work. You just like under a bridge in Oakland, strangers would drive up. You would get in their car so you could use the Hove lane. It was like the cheapest way into town. What'd you say?
What?
And one time I got in. The rule was it had to be 3 people to get in the Hove lane, but one guy was in a pickup truck. And so, you know, it's only got 2 seats, so we only need 2 people. So I got in with this random dude in a pickup truck. Thankfully, he started going across the Bay Bridge. And then for the whole way there, he was really charming. And he was like basically telling me about this killer homemade cat food he made for his 12 cats. And dude, like it was not vegan. But he was like reducing turkey meat and like doing all this stuff. And then you cook it overnight and then you get the carrots and you do this and they fucking love it. And he's like trying to get me to do it. And I'm like, I have 2 cats this sounds like a great meal for. I don't make this type of food for me. Like if I would like, I'm not going to put in that much effort for my two cats.
It's good to have hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Enzo Ferrari's Fiorano office building,
Very good. Okay.
which has been kept much as he left it upon his death in 1988.
As per his wishes for when he returns.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lewis Hamilton had that great photo. It was parodied.
Was it?
Immediate. Oh, yeah. But like, I think in good spirits. Alanis King, reporter about town. Not sure who she's with currently. Jalopnik, perhaps, still?
She was with Jalopnik. She wrote the Rich Energy book, right?
That's right. Yeah,
co-wrote it.
with Elizabeth Blackstock. She has a pretty good parody. But yeah, that's and then he got in an F1 car. Hamilton did, and promptly crashed a little bit.
Dude, you
little bit
just
of crash.
fucked up your Ferrari.
It's not mine.
It was Charles Leclerc's who did not get to drive it during that.
he didn't get
during that demonstration day. Lewis, the king, the mind games already
started.
begin. Oh, Charles, you were gonna knock the rust off? Oh dear, it's a little wet. It's my first time in one of these Ferraris. Sorry, you just don't get to drive today.
It was wild seeing all of the like there was so many Ferrari fans hanging out on that road outside of the track to try and get a sneak peek of his test days, and they kind of timed it. They told him what time was going to be on. People thought maybe they were going to bait and switch that, but they didn't. The crash, there's no recordings of it. It doesn't seem like it was that big a deal. It sounds like necessarily, but what was it on the final turn?
Turn 12 at Barcelona.
But that was at Barcelona, right? That was
Yeah.
So that was the other. Yeah, that was his proper test day, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm
there,
excited
there
to see
are photos, of him on the track, but not of the crash. Also in Hamilton news, Angela Cohen, his longtime trainer, they have reunited.
it. Hooray!
Yes.
I wonder why that happened then, because in my mind it sounded like the two of them were, parting on good terms. But I mean, if she's back with him here, then was it a Mercedes thing?
It feels like toward the end of his time at Mercedes, a lot like he was getting fed up with a lot of stuff and started changing what he could because he could not fix the car. The vibe I always had was he just like things were not working,
Right.
and he needed to make changes to the entire team around him, and Cullen was part of that. And it seems clearly that on reflection, change of circumstances, that is not going to be the case. But I do wonder if she's being, we'll see. We'll see if she reoccupies the same role because she was like at his side all the time.
Yeah.
The way it's described now is she's like rejoining his team, his fitness team, and the broader like LH44 team. So it would not surprise me if we saw less of her, because now she's in more of like an oversight or advisory role with like the fitness regime, but is maybe not the direct one-on-one, almost like sports counseling work that was part of her brief. We'll see. But either way, like, I think this is one of those areas where it's been sort of easy to be parasocial about this professional relationship, because there are not many drivers who've had someone outside of a parent, maybe, and most parents don't last that long at a driver's side, right? Like, eventually you have to put some distance there.
Yeah.
So I think, it always felt a little bit uncomfortable that a load-bearing pillar of his race prep was kind of shown the door before, like early. Remember, it wasn't before the season. It was like really early in the season, right? They got like one race in.
Yeah, it was a funny time.
And then we need to make some changes.
Yeah, I wonder, and it's unclear to me at least whether it was her decision or someone else's. There is a quote here from the Autosport story that's talking about them being reunited that says back in 2023, Hamilton is saying, quote, Angela is living her life right now. She's got so many ideas of things she wants to do. We message pretty much every day.
Cool.
We're stuck with each other, unfortunately, or fortunately, we've been through thick and thin.
Besties.
Yeah, so I wonder if, it could very well have been that she just wanted to play the field a little bit.
I wonder as well, he might have like two setups now, because he might have like a Ferrari side Italian focus team, and then maybe he has like, UK where he lives focus team as well. There might just be a bit more maybe not as much work, but kind of more of it because of that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of faces that we're used to seeing or hearing, Rob, Johnny Herbert.
Orange Sherbet.
Small little news thing. He was removed from his duties as a FIA steward in the offseason. And the explanation for it given was that basically the FIA took the position that him being a TV personality is not really compatible with him being a race steward. But he already left Sky TV's F1 coverage team a couple years ago. What this is actually about is that after, like a lot of people, now that he's no longer with Sky, he has remained doing on-camera work, but in the context of being a spokesperson for gambling apps.
No, are you kidding me?
Oh no!
I didn't know this.
Oh my!
So
gosh,
he's doing little hits. I don't know exactly what the nature of it is. Like, I don't know if he's doing the full. Here are the bets I like, or if he's just sort of getting on, doing like quick vlogs, sort of giving his thoughts about the state of F1 racing.
What was the other Kick sponsor? Sauber Kicks.
It was Kick, and then shit.
It was fuck. Wasn't Kick the streaming service? With
Yes.
All the
What was
Kick
the gambling
and-
service then? Stake.
Yeah.
Stake.
There we go.
Yeah. So apparently that was the thing that kind of that was really kind of the thing they needed to address was
Which,
that,
like, yeah, like I'm of the opinion that if you're doing, I mean, I think there should be way more of a stink around sports betting. Celebrities should be fucking ashamed of doing that stuff. We removed that stuff off the possible list of advertisers on this very podcast because it's just like heinous shit that preys on poor people or folks that can't afford to be fucking losing all that much money. I think, yeah, sure. Like you dance with the devil and you lose your job. Fair enough. It's crazy that this wasn't something. I wonder if he knew it was going to happen, or But that seems completely reasonable. Yeah, I don't want.
The vibe I get is he didn't know it was going to happen,
right?
And didn't. He sort of had made comments that in the past people were like, "Is it kind of weird that you're an F1 pundit and then you're also a race steward?"
I thought that was even weird too.
Well, apparently, because I don't watch all the Sky coverage, but occasionally he would go off and say the type of stuff that like Brundle will say about Max, where it's like it was completely outside the lines, that type of stuff. But it gets hard to wear that hat and then be like, now off to go be a steward.
Totally, like punditry is about having your personal opinion on stuff, like any type of. Trying to be level-headed or look at this thing non-emotionally is the exact opposite of what so much punditry is about. So,
although how good would head of NFL officiating Stephen A. Smith be? That'd be dope as hell. But so they got him out of there, and it sounds like it's not voluntary on his part, but the thing they focused on was the. Publicly, it's just, hey, it's kind of tough to be a steward than a personality around the sport. But then off the record, it's we can't have somebody speaking for gambling apps connected to gambling in any way who is involved in race decisions,
totally.
like competition decisions. It has also prompted a conversation about Zach Brown gave comments to this effect. Zach Brown said, we really need to bring in like full-time paid stewards. We got to stop asking people to donate their time and get consistent compensated stewards in here. The sport can afford it. The team should kick in. We need officiating. But of course, that is something that Ben Sulayem has also said he's open to. But as it often does for him, immediately but who's going to pay for it? Because his whole mission as head of the FIA is in part plead with the teams to give the FIA more money. Just let them have a little more money to sort of administer parts of the sport rather than having it all sort of whoosh out to Liberty and the teams.
Yeah, I had a later news post about this just because the FIA are putting together it's called the Officials Department, which is basically trying to, I guess, onboard and train people to be stewards. sort of across the sports, as it were. Which seems completely appropriate, really, when you consider how much how important the role it is. Headed by the experienced Italian steward Matteo Perini,
Perini, I think.
Apologies. Who was appointed sport officials manager at the FIA. He's been commissioned to provide training to the next generation of officials and ensure that there is a bigger talent pool for the FIA to work with. This seems kind of like a not a no-brainer necessarily, but I wonder if there's just more racing everywhere. I feel like there's a lot of racing happening these days, not just F1 with its increased races, but it seems like national series and other regional series seem to be, there's a lot going on. So in a way,
I wonder if this also reflects, we've talked before about like all the trackside people are volunteers for the most part,
marshals, and
I think like deep in motorsports, like Bones, it's kind of we all come together and we throw this event, and like you sort of pay it forward, you take part in it, you get, you work as a roadie at this thing, but you get the best seat in the house.
It's like music festivals, right? It's like, I'll put up your lights and just give me a couple of free tickets,
But it's not 1963 anymore.
Right,
and I think generationally it's a different shift. Like I think there's been conversations about the marshalling teams are aging. That is a graying workforce, because the types of people who are like, hell yeah, I just want to hang out, this hot race like sun beating down racetrack. That is a thing that was cool for a certain generation, and they're not getting new blood in for that. So I wonder if some of this also reflects the fact that you do not have as many people who are like enthusiast participants in motorsport. They're just like spectators. But I think what made a lot of motorsports work back in the day is that you would have people maybe competing in lower tiers. They just like being around cars, working on cars, and then they would go and like help put on the event. Those days are kind of over, and so it wouldn't surprise me if we see more of F1 and various other motorsports being forced to confront the fact that you're going to have to get qualified, skilled people for these support positions from somewhere.
I have a friend who in recent years he's done the marshalling at Melbourne now, I think maybe 5 or 6 years, I think. And it's great. Like every year I go to his Instagram page and see how it's been going, and he takes loads of pictures and writes down what it was like this year, and he looks forward to it every year. And I don't think Shane was like a big F1 fan. I think he's maybe he was. I don't think he necessarily was, but he got involved in it and really likes doing it. And it seems like they have great crack doing it, because it's just like, they get dressed up, and you got your corner, you got your part of the circuit, and it's good camaraderie, and you get to be close to the drivers and all that sort of stuff. So I feel like I'd love to do it if it was, if there was a race, if they're racing in Sonoma or something, it'd be so cool to do that.
I finally found the betting websites that Johnny Herbert has that gave his quotes to.
Okay.
Thanks to ESPN, who is basically, when it comes to F1 stuff, they're basically a tabloid. Like if you follow them on social media, like they just rip stuff from other people. It is so strange to see ESPN doing that stuff, but they've come through in this because they have let us know that there's 3 websites here: Casino Utan Spellpaus, which I think is a Swedish website.
Okay, Spellhouse. I want a fucking Spellhouse. Sounds amazing.
.io, by the way. Playmo.com, which when I click it, Cloudflare has notified me that I've been blocked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always a good sign.
And safestbettingsites.co.uk.
No Cloudflare alerts for that one.
Nope, it's
worry
safe.
About.
Rob,
oh my God.
I've got the lock here and everything. Connection secure.
Most safe betting house.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it was worth it, Johnny. Hope the pack of quavers you got for that job was worth it in the end.
There's some real like just vacuuming up every dime not nailed down type stuff. Like
Yeah.
the Sky gig is going. He's like, no, you know what though? I could be a spokesperson for most safe betting
Safest betting sites. Yeah. If you have to, if you're engaging in something where you need a website called Safest, whatever you're doing, maybe don't do that.
And who's safer than Johnny Herbert?
It seems pretty innocuous, frankly. Danny, speaking of the rules,
The rules
the
they are changing.
FIA, they have some things that they're telling us.
Yeah, excuse me, I bet to yawn. That wasn't because of how boring the story is.
I caught that too.
Or frogs. I was just thinking about Johnny Herbert. Sorry. Yeah. So there's a weird one. So the flexi wing stuff from last year. So last year.
Yeah. Can you reset?
Yeah, sure. So McLaren basically figured out this front wing design that essentially made it so that your front wing isn't allowed to flex during the test. This like standardized test that the FIA do,
Where they just push on it, right? Like the car's not running, they just like push on it and it can't flex.
I think I could be wrong, but I think that they run some air through it, like they push air through it. I might be incorrect, but whatever. In the way in which they do it, when the car is stationary, these weren't flexing, but on high speed down into going into turns, it was allowing it to flex, and essentially what that's doing is giving the front downforce a bit more of a bit more downforce, which is allowing the thing they had trouble with, of course, most years, but definitely last year was the differential in with the ground effect stuff with the back and the front of the car in terms of where the downforce is coming from.
Right.
So,
the rules say that you're not allowed, like the with the exception of the DRS wing in the back, nothing can move. Nothing is allowed to move.
And there were problems with the rear wings as well. There were rear wings that were had those little side profiles that were bending slightly in the wind as well. But I'm pretty sure this is mostly about the front. So McLaren were really good at this last year. Mercedes kind of got on the bandwagon, and Ferrari and Red Bull were slower to adopt it. And I think some of the reason for this was that last year everyone was waiting to see what the FIA would do, whether or not they would outlaw these or not. And what they decided to do last year was not to outlaw them, to say like, this is fine. And in so doing with that, they were also saying that we won't touch this next year. This is just something that is going to be okay. During the off season, then there was rumblings that maybe there might be a change to this, but most teams assumed that there wouldn't be, because so much developmental work had gone in that direction, because there's a new set of regulations coming in 2026. And because it didn't seem to be, the grid kind of, got close again, and it's kind of, we don't want to maybe throw a wrench in there that's going to sort of create a problem for people, right? But essentially that's what the FA have done, is they've sort of like dilly-dallied on this one, and now they've decided to go back on their original one and to outlaw the flexible wings, but they're not going to do it immediately because they've sort of messed up on the timing on this one. They're going to implement it in Spain, so at Barcelona, which is the 9th race of the year. And so this is kind of like, when you like do something and then suddenly there are a million reasons why you shouldn't have done it, and if they'd just done nothing, then nobody would have blamed them for anything. This kind of looks like one of those ones where, who knows if they hadn't touched this, if somebody is going to run away with, race pace on a single lap because of the ability to, in clean air, have this thing working. We know, but we don't know. But now what it's kind of done is create this weird uncertainty where teams who have invested in this stuff are going to have to ratchet this stuff back, which in a year where like nobody wants to be doing much work on these cars, everyone's putting their budget towards 2026 and all the new regulations. Like they don't want to be having to do crazy, mid-season changes to these cars at all. So it's gonna punish them. Any midfield team that was going in this direction was following those four teams in attempting to do this during the off season, has suddenly now had their wings clipped as well. We don't know who that is necessarily. Ultimately, we don't know what, with all the different changes to the cars that are going to happen in the off season as we go into 2025, how much this is really going to affect things, how much it would have affected things, I guess. But it sort of creates a weird regulatory wrinkle in a season that kind of didn't need it. And like, ultimately, if they were going to do this, they should have decided they were doing this last year. They should have said like, okay, this season, we'll finish out the season. You can do it. Start next season. You're not going to be doing flexi wings. So it's kind of it's a bit of they shot themselves in the foot a little bit on this
weird half a loaf solution to this. It shades of the DOS, where Mercedes like rolls out like a, oh god, what was it? Adjusted camber on the fly.
You pulled the wheel in and out, and it changed it wasn't the angle of the wheels.
The toe.
You're muted, Drew. Sorry. I don't know. Yeah, they just decided.
Weird. They're trying to stifle me.
Yeah.
It's the toe angle of the front wheels.
Yeah.
So they would camber in, like pigeon toe.
Oh, you're right. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And they did that to like increase the friction so that the tires would warm up faster. And it was apparently negligible, but
right.
Yeah, they
it was Mercedes like we're just dominating. So let's just see what else we can invent. But
Right.
the FIA was like, well, you can have it for one season, but then it has to go. And immediately you're kind of like, well, if you're only allowed for one season, saying you can't do it, why are we doing it for one season? The other thing, is it just me, or does it feel like a flexi wing? It's a thing that comes up in the sport, like literally every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
There's what's the FIA going to do about this clever flexible wing solution someone came up with?
Did you know if you drive these cars really fast, it actually moves the car a little bit? You know,
it's fucked up.
It's not amazing.
So I thought the wing was stiff. We thought it was stiff, but like
wind doesn't move. I don't feel the wind.
Yeah, I feel like the nature of the materials and the nature of the speeds, the wings, the materials. Every few years, it's like that son of a bitch is flexing. We told him stop flexing those wings.
Stop flexing over there. Inappropriate.
They're doing it again.
It's the new FIA rules. That's what they got confused. Bin Salem was like, look, no cursing, no taking your shirt off, no flexing. We don't want any of this. That's what they got misinterpreted.
No taking your shirt off. Well, I got a whole calendar for Ben Suliam. Speaking of which, Danny, the swearing. What's going on that
God almighty.
area?
Yeah. Okay. So they've made updates to their parochial no cursing laws, which is God, I hate this. This is why, look, man, we live in weird times. There's a lot of people going on about, the culture and like how you can't freedom of speech. How is it we live in a world in which adults aren't allowed to say no curse word? Like, this is just ridiculous. Anyway,
family values, Danny.
It's such a Streisand effect thing as well. Like, it's
that's
silly.
Completely my problem with this.
The epidemic of people accidentally swearing at press conferences. Okay, so anyway, I'm pulling this from autosport.com. Basically, they have introduced new fines and also possible reprimands, including points reductions, which look pretty scary on paper. I'm assuming this stuff would never get to it, but who knows? Max Verstappen was doing community service. So the general use of language, written or verbal, gestures / signs that is being offensive, insulting, coarse, rude, or abusive, and might reasonably be expected to be perceived to be coarse or rude or cause offense, humiliation, or to be inappropriate. And then assaulting, which includes elbowing, kicking, punching, and hitting. So,
damn, George and Max both get got by that.
Right, exactly. All those elbows. And it's an incitement to do any of the above, which I feel like is the most weirdly broad aspect of this. The fines start, and just so you know, these are the fines for regular drivers in FIA series, not F1. The F1 ones are multiplied by 4.
Whoa.
15,000 fine for first offense, 30,000 euro, fine for another offence, plus a suspension of access to reserved areas of the event or the next event, which can include track, paddock, parc ferme, and media zones.
Track.
That's basically a race.
It's an important one.
Yes. And then a further offence in failing to comply with ceremony instructions will receive a 45. So I think that's part of them as well, but this is with all the cursing and all together. A $45,000 one, so that multiply that by 4, it's like $200,000. Plus a 6-month suspension from those predefined areas. So on paper, if Max cursed 4 times, he could get 6 months back.
It is so wild to me that they are tripling down on this.
It is.
At a certain point, and look, lots of cultures are big on the swear words.
Yeah.
But I think especially Germany's got to put its foot down and be like, look, we build all the fucking cars. And you know what? We like to swear like a punctuation mark. We can, some words you consider nasty. We consider just basic. We love calling things shit. We just do. It's kind of our thing.
Right.
We'll be damned if we let you take this from us. This is such a weird and so broad, right? It's way too you're applying this weird standard of conduct to, like people racing in lower formula in not the spotlight of F1, just like
use of language that is offensive. To who? Who gets to decide what offensive is?
Yeah. Mohammed bin Salem, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
We are truly in the golden age of annoying guys who do not let you forget that they fucking exist.
Yeah, true.
Like, so much of this is not just about, like, yes, there's a lot of like power tripping happening, but also so much of it has a commonality, which is like guys who suck, who are have clearly been told, made to feel like they suck, being like, well, I'll be goddamned if I let you make me go away.
You know what? Here's the thing. If he was this way and he didn't try and like handshake and pal up to everyone after every race, at least there'd be that. It's crazy to me that
Jean-Marie
you can attempt to do both.
treated people like shit, and I can respect that.
100%. He picked his lane. He wasn't trying to be friends with anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, small king Jean Tott, everyone's favorite husband of a Oscar-winning actress.
It's true.
There's plenty of people in the sport that can walk the walk, and I even was talking before we were doing the news, and I was like, I just hate talking about this stuff because it's so stupid. But we saw last year it was an issue. Like it was, it was something that affected the drivers. So
and him attaching championship points to it is kind of like deviously clever, because last year they were all like, if I was Max, I wouldn't serve this penalty. Fuck these guys.
Right.
But now it's like close championship. Suddenly got Lando going out like teacher.
You know what I'd love?
Did you not hear what Max said on the radio?
We could have had a great Spartacus moment where like Max cursed and got docked points, and then everyone else started cursing on the radio, and suddenly the whole grid is just saying the worst things ever, and there's like kids crying at home, and MBS is like
it turns into Shawshank, where they just like take over the PA.
Exactly, plays
just stream
to this
of
day.
invective.
Nobody knew what those drivers were saying, but it was the most beautiful thing they'd ever heard.
All right, Danny. A three-peat here of circuit news to close out the news section.
Some quickie ones. We talked about how South Africa was possibly vying for an F1 seat at the table. It seems like that is happening. They're at least putting forward an official bid. Yeah, they do not have the location yet, so they don't have the city even yet on this one. But the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture has been in contact with Domenicali about this. The last time they raced in South Africa was 1993. I was 7 at the, is it Kailami circuit? I barely remember this one. I think it was in one of the early video games or something. But yeah, they're putting it out there. This is usually part of it where they shake the bushes, right? They try and get people out with money and promoters and try and build together a bid. This is kind of the way it usually goes down. But yeah, I mean, personally, I think it'd be cool to see more Southern Hemisphere races. It's the first,
there aren't any in Africa.
There are none.
It's a whole continent.
There's like a bajillion in the Middle East and none in Africa. It's almost a shame you'd have to go to South Africa to do it. You know what I mean? It'd be cool. There's so many, other locations in North Africa to be super cool. That'd be like have that connective tissue between the Mediterranean, which has loads of F1 races as well. But yeah, it's on the works anyway. Speaking of Southern Hemisphere tracks, they're making some changes to Melbourne this year, based on mostly that 7 and 6 configuration where we had the very strange Alonso Russell incident, where was Alonso braking early to try and duke out Russell, and then he got, and then he went straight off there. It's an interesting part of that circuit because it's like a fairly high speed corner for the amount of runoff that's there. And then when Russell crashed, he kind of got knocked back onto the track. And again, it's a bit of a blind turn. You kind of hit it blind initially, and then there'd be no way to get out of the way. They obviously pulled red flags for him, which was super important. So what they're doing is they've changed the barrier on the driver's left to stop it. To stop the angle on it. It's been broadened a bit to basically stop drivers from being knocked back out, or cars rather, being knocked back out onto the track. They've also changed the configuration of the curb itself. It's now a so-called negative curb, which is a curb which folds away to sit lower than the track surface rather than a raised positive curb that the cars climb onto, which risks them becoming unsettled and unstable. So it kind of puts it into the gravel rather than lifts it up a little bit on the way out. And that gravel trap has also been extended. I think it's right up until the curbs now, whereas before there was a bit of distance between it. So they're just trying to slow people down. It's basically, if somebody crashes there, we want you to slow down, or we don't want you to go on the track. That's what they're doing. It's
negative curbs used. Like,
where else is he used? I wonder. I feel like places like Kota, maybe on the top of the hill. I'll have to have a think about it, because I don't think are they talking about the highest, like, does it go up at all? No, I guess not. No, there is curbs.
Yeah, it sounds like the curb, instead of like throwing, because yes, the skid plate hits it, and sometimes the car just launches. So it sounds like this one kind of tips you down.
Yeah.
Like, but the car doesn't launch. But I'm curious if it's a thing we've seen used before, like that we kind of know what they do to cars, or if this is a kind of new thing they're introducing. Because I just watched the Daytona 24, and one of the big things there was, due to a NASCAR incident a couple years ago, they got rid of the little grass patch by the chicane at the Daytona road course, and in order to, because you remove grass, you pave with tarmac. It's safer by some lights,
right? But
also now you can just cut the tarmac, and you don't get hit with all the instability and all the shit that makes it inadvisable. So one of the solutions was they put in those like almost like serrated FIA curbs, and everyone was like, "Wow, you hit those things; those really like trash your car." Kind of by design. And if you've raced Daytona in previous, like before this was put in, you kind of know that at that bus stop chicane, people cut that chicane all the time,
right?
Because the curbs didn't matter. So all I'm familiar with really is kind of the jaggies. This negative curb concept is interesting, but I'm suspicious.
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain of other circuits that have them, but I guess it's kind of hard to see unless you're there. The only other update as well is that the Vegas Grand Prix has been brought forward by 2 hours, which I think is fantastic news for North American viewers, but maybe not great ones if you're in Europe. It's going to be 8 p.m. Pacific now, which is much more reasonable for us for sure. Also more reasonable for East Coast viewers, because instead of it being, 1 a.m. for you guys, it'll be a more sensible but still kind of difficult 11 p.m. It's gonna be 4 a.m. in the UK though, so that's a pretty unsociable hour to be.
The empire is over. Get used to it.
Deal with it. Yeah.
And that's all the circuit news update for this year. I suspect we will see changes to some circuits this year as well, but usually we hear about them, in the weeks prior to the races.
Moving to a rotation model.
That's
a
right.
rotation model?
It's going to be trading off calendar dates with other European venues.
Oh, they are doing it. So Hockenheim maybe, or
who knows? But I think this is also part of. There's rumors that there might be a second Saudi Grand Prix.
Go
Oh,
away.
good.
Go away. No.
Because often I'm like, if only we could do more events in Saudi Arabia.
Everyone's saying this.
I hope there's a new venue that foreign workers can be employed to build in Saudi Arabia. That'll go great for them.
Is there any more petro states we can? I hear Greenland has got some. The ice sheets are melting. Right, we've got to get access to those minerals and that oil. Let's do that. Let's call up the King of Denmark.
Well, apparently, according to this Autosport story, a stronger plug-and-play contender for alternating with Spa appears to be Turkey.
Oh
showed
my
in
God!
2021.
We are so back, Istanbul, baby. Let's go.
Nothing problematic about Turkey.
The Erdogan Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can curse all you want there.
All right. Well, a couple quick hits here I wanted to get to before we got to some emails. We completely forgot to do an ad break. Well,
man.
we'll get
We're
you
out of
next
form.
time.
Yeah, exactly. I'll stick it in somewhere. Sorry. This is your warning that there was an ad break earlier.
Hot Wheels, they're making F1 Hot Wheels. With the
Are
exception, they are, yeah. With the exception of Ferrari, not a surprise, and Aston Martin. Like, really? Aston Martin was too cool for the Hot Wheels school, really?
Look,
Oh my God, look at these. Lego Speed.
Hot Wheels are crap. It's a bad brand.
Boo.
That is not the
Wow.
toy car brand that should have survived.
Wow.
It should have been Matchbox.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels.
Instead, Matchbox is a
lead
hollow
away.
shell of what it used to be.
I
Yeah.
made over the Christmas break, we went up to Tahoe for some snow, as I know you often do as well, Drew. And I got my wife got me, or no, did she get me that one? I forget. She got me one. She got me the McLaren F1 one, which was good. I think I did that Christmas Day, but I had gotten myself the Ayrton Senna one.
Oh.
Yes, which is a very good Lego kit. I mean, Lego's not cheap, man, but it's his MP4 McLaren, so that beautiful
nice.
white and red.
These will be 1 to 64 models made of metal, and there will also be a premium collector's item released, as well as an F1 track and play set.
Oh my
I
God.
hope the track is bright orange.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm on the. Wait, a second ago it said it was $30. Now it says it's $269. What button did I press?
That's what you get. They know
What?
they know you're in California.
They knew I was an F1 fan. A second
It's
ago it said
just like-
$30.
Airline tickets.
What? Oh no, it was. Oh no, I thought it was $30. I thought it was $26.99, but it was
No.
$269. Why did they cost that much? How big are these? They're not that big.
Drew,
Yeah.
What?
if you enlarge the image of the F1 Hot Wheels,
Yeah.
How the
does the Red Bull livery look profoundly off to you?
the color of the
that
blue
blue
looks
look right?
wrong. Yeah, the blue looks wrong.
They all the photo looks a little muted. It's like Autosport like took a screenshot of an already compressed JPEG.
I'm on the Amazon page, and the blue on the Red Bull looks weird,
Okay.
and all of the rest of them look
Hot Wheels for you.
fine. The Orbi one looks. This is last year's cars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Visa Cash App Orbi VCarb 01 F1 looks a bit weird as well.
Wait, I'm sorry. They're $200 for all of them?
That's 270 quid for 10. That's seven. That's I don't know how much that is.
they know that
$26 for each
No
car.
fucking kids play with Hot Wheels anymore. You met a little kid lately? They don't play with little.
That's
they
true.
don't-
This is not
they
for
don't play
them.
with this shit. This is
is
just
for
for
us.
adults.
You wouldn't play with this.
Pathetic millennials.
Who's playing with the $270 Matchbox cars? I'm like, no, those are my looking cars.
That's the point. Is they know that like only us losers are gonna be like, oh hell yeah, I want a $270
These are
Hot
bad.
Wheels set of F1.
I mean, I have the Ayrton Senna Lego thing set up, and it looks great. And that was expensive, but that was like $65 or something like that. This is egregious.
Yeah. Last one here. We will have more to say about the upcoming season in our preseason primer episode. But we already know that Esteban Ocon will be getting he will, of course, be at a new team, but he will be getting a new race engineer. The race engineer is the person who's in the driver's ear during the race.
Literally, they sit inside of his ear.
Laura Muller.
Good stuff.
A German woman will be the first female race engineer in F1 history, according to Autosport.com.
It's Muller time.
It's Muller time. It's shit. It's so good.
My favorite line from All Quiet on the Western Front.
I can't improve on that. So yeah, look forward to that. That'll be fun. Hearing a woman's voice actually during the F1 broadcast.
Cliff, where sometimes jobs are going to be dog shit, and you let a woman have a crack
Oh,
at
yeah,
it because
yeah, yeah.
it's like, well, it's fucked no matter what. And I feel like the problems that attend Esteban Ocon everywhere he goes, it's just like I feel like him. I just don't know.
We'll see.
Hopefully he's chilled out, man. We'll have to see.
We'll see. You can see the email compose window of your browser when you send us an email at shift.f1podcast@gmail.com or go to f1.cool/emails. Look, I had a martini after having not had any drinks for the month of January. So
Nice.
I'm feeling it. Danny, do you want to take this?
January is giving way to fucked up February.
He's like no sober February.
That's
It's
right.
like I need to be smashed at
Cool
all 24
buzz
hours of the
Feb.
day.
Yeah.
Got a
Danny,
whiskey.
take this
Wait.
first one from,
All right. From
from
Paul?
Paul. Yeah.
Hello, love the show and just enjoying your season roundup. In regards to the section about Spygate, though, you massively underplayed what happened. It wasn't a case of leaving with a notepad or some IP in your head. He left with the entire car design. He was caught because his wife went to a photocopier store and asked for copies to be made. The shop was in Woking, home of McLaren, unfortunately. For Stepney and his wife, the guy behind the counter was a big F1 fan, but liked his cars to be red. There's much of this story that there's a really good podcast series with the BBC that you might enjoy during the off-season. There's a link in the description, but is this available outside of the UK? It may not be.
I'll post it. And
Yeah, that's how
people can
the
use a VPN or whatever.
iPlayer stuff works.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a clip. Spygate, the scandal that shook F1 to its core. It's a BBC Radio 5 special edition. Man, I miss the BBC. The big British castle. The incident didn't just cost them the championship, it cost them millions, and would suggest, someone would suggest it was personal. I can't recommend enough that you give it a listen. Catch you in the new year. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal at the time, but I think my feeling is that in some things in F1 have gotten grander over the years, have gotten more sort of momentous. I think that one has just gotten funnier and like, oh, silly Formula One.
I didn't
and
know
I think
the detail about a Ferrari fan at the the copy store
so
narking
good.
on dear Mr. Tot. Or he might have been gone by then.
I feel like photocopy places, because I've printed stuff over the years when I was doing graphic design, and usually they're a little bit like more on, because the big problem is people doing like prints and photocopies of things that they don't own the license to. Like you can't just go in with like a Pokemon poster and copy a bunch of them. Like, so they're usually on you a little bit about that sort of stuff. Like I remember when we did the Half-Life documentaries up at Valve, we had a bunch of posters printed so that they could sign them. Mm-hmm. And I did it at a FedEx place, and there was a little bit of like, you know, why are you doing this? And I was like, I don't know. This is like, we're working with the company who made it, because like, they just don't want you like doing stuff like printing out stuff. So in my head, they always, it's not like you walk into it, like if you walk into like a UPS store, maybe you can use the photocopier quick, but if you're like getting stuff done, I feel like they're always watching a little bit. Like could you, if you're copying secret materials, would you not just buy a Xerox? Or I don't know, it just seems
Well, I mean, this is like the due to the first World Trade bombing, going back to Ryder for like the deposit on the truck he blew up under the World Trade Center.
Is that how he got caught?
That is, I believe, that is part of the legend of
gosh.
that attempt. Is that one of the ringleaders was like, I need to get that deposit back. I don't know what happened to the truck.
Submit your invoices, guys.
All right. Yeah.
Time's coming up.
But
Lord.
the other thing, here's the thing that I will say about this. I had also, because I was going off the way this has been discussed by a lot of British media, and I think there's a lot of people who really like Nigel Stepney. And so I often heard it was kind of overplayed. It was kind of overblown. Like Nigel Stepney was a, good dude. He didn't deserve to become synonymous with something like this. But yeah, looking at some of these details, it does kind of sound like he just got really pissed off at Ferrari and took a ton of privileged information to his buddy and was like, fuck these guys. And now McLaren getting nuked for it was Formula One politics for sure, and was maybe a little more opportunism involved in that. But yeah, specifically, I think I had heard it sort of dismissed as like, well, Nigel Stepney innocent, basically, right? We all know that like he didn't do much. And I think it's like that implicates some bad habits, I think, in press that gets too complacent covering a beat, where it's like they just kind of can't call a spade when it comes to somebody who's been on the beat for a long time, and they've humanized them and they bond
Right,
with them.
exactly,
They don't want to
yeah,
be like, Nigel just ripped off.
Never do that. Not that type of person. I hope that photocopier guy got free tickets to Imola for the rest of his life or something.
I'll bet you.
No, he definitely didn't.
No,
I mean, that lady in that McDonald's who found the Luigi guy, she got fired, didn't she, for calling that one in?
I thought it was it someone at the McDonald's?
Wasn't it? Wasn't it one on the staff?
I hope
think
she
it
got
was?
fired.
Let me read this one from Maria. Maria writes, "Hey, Speedy Racers. I'm writing to tell you about a recent pilgrimage I took to Maranello.
Oh, nice.
I was recently traveling in Italy and could not pass up the opportunity to try and visit the land of the prancing horse while I was there. I ended up going to the Enzo Ferrari Museum right when it opened and had the entire place to myself, which was incredible. Wow. There's some great history of Enzo himself, some of which is touched on in the Ferrari movie made last year, the origins of the Ferrari logo, and even Charles Leclerc's custom Monaco Daytona SP3. Oh. The main museum in Maranello was even more incredible. So there's the Enzo Ferrari Museum and then the actual Ferrari Museum. It also wasn't very busy. The main room had the F1 cars and may have been one of the most impressive things I have ever seen. Every trophy Ferrari has ever won is against one wall. 8 F1 cars are displayed against the other, with engines from each of them on a table next to each other in the middle. That is great. That is that's some pride in what you've made, your craft. There were honestly so many cars in the museum with incredible stories behind them, but my personal favorite was the 449P, the 2023 Le Mans hypercar. Not only is that car just the most bizarre shape, but it is also the only car in the entire museum that is actually dirty. The tires on it were the ones from the race.
Oh, wow.
And you can see places where the paint and bodywork had actually peeled back. I spent some time walking around Maranello while I was there. It was pretty neat to be in a cafe eating surrounded by factory workers who were all there on their lunch break.
That's very cool.
I got to watch how the workers scan their badges back into the factory and walked up to the iconic gates of the old factory as well. All in all, it was a highlight of my trip, and I cannot recommend it enough to anyone who is even the slightest bit of a racing fan.
It sounds like a Hitman level. That sounds...
Yeah.
Man, I'd never even considered that I could, next time I go on like a little trip to Italy, I could do a little trip down F1 history lane. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Was
Maria.
every car red? Did they have any cars that weren't Ferrari red?
Yellow. I still think.
Oh, you're right.
I know
Yes,
they'll never
yes.
do it. But everything looks so fresh when it's in that yellow. Like the yellow Ferrari, the yellow fire suit, it all looks sensational. Yellow, low key, a better sports car color than red. Like, what Porsche has ever been made that didn't look a little sharper in canary yellow?
Pining for the
It's
days
great
of
though. I
right
heard,
now.
they have like if you go up to the portrait of Enzo at the Ferrari Museum and you press the little button, he says, "We all know it's our terrible passion, our terrible joy. But if you get into one of my cars, and no one is forcing you to take that seat, you get in to win. Break later, steal their line, make them make the mistake." That's what I heard anyway.
Then it's
Only
eyes
one way to
blink
find
at you.
out. Yeah. Rob, you want to take this last one?
Sure. Sorry, I was clicked away. All right.
He was in a moment.
Hi, all. Long time, first time, etc. I have had the same bizarre and intrusive earworm every few days for the last 3 months or so. I don't know anyone apart from yourselves who would even know what I'm talking about. So naturally, I wondered if this would strike a chord with you. Here goes to the theme of Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is Pastor Maldonado? Am I in trouble mentally? It enters my unconscious mind alarmingly frequently. Keep up the great work, Tom, Wales. P.S. Kind of worse than I'm sending it during the winter break.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I feel like at least once a week I do, "Hey, Pastor Maldonado," goes in my head as well. So
Yep.
I'm with you. Different tune, same problem.
Yeah.
Same mental problem.
And I haven't uttered those words in 7 years.
No. What's he up to?
If they made me run around a map of the world and plant flashing lights in the locations of race circuits, I would clean up.
That'd be good. That'd be good. Nickelodeon game
I
show.
wonder what he's up to. Is he just hanging out in Venezuela? Is he just...
Oof. I don't know.
He's just doing his thing? I don't know. Maldonado is an outspoken political figure, which is rare in the racing world. He considers himself a socialist and was a friend of the late Venezuelan president, Hugo Chavez. He was one of the guards of honor at Chavez's funeral. That's wild.
Pastor Maldonado, I apologize.
I did not realize your game.
I was unfamiliar with your game.
I wasn't aware. Wow.
Isn't he also
There
the
you
one
go.
that was like, the most important thing in a relationship is looks?
So hey, look, he just says it as it is. That's his thing. He's won a race
Yeah. What have I ever done?
and flipped the
Is
car
he still
upside
the
down.
last Williams F1 race winner?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Shift+F1podcast at gmail.com or fn.cool/emails.
Is that car of him flipping? Is that picture of him flipping over the other car still our Twitter banner or
I
whatever?
believe so.
Okay. Yeah. Good
I
stuff.
don't know. I've not logged into Twitter in some time.
He's 39. God, he's young. No, he's a year older than me. Okay, that's good. Phew.
You can follow us on the socials using the link in the show notes. That's us around the internet. Should we take it around the world, Danny?
Let's see if my voice still works. Let's race around the way. Yeah.
Well, between now and the next episode, there's actually kind of a lot of things kicking off. I'm going to have to. I've not checked in on this, but I believe if oh my God, what is the name of? Where did we get? Too Much Racing. Too Much Racing is where we
Racing.
get these calendars. If they are up to date, I'll have to trust them. The World Rally Championship, February 13th, kicks off Rally Sweden. And we also start that day some NASCAR. We got the duels at Daytona.
Beautiful.
We've got the Craftsman trucks at the Fresh from Florida 250. The Formula E Jeddah E-Prix on February 14th. All that on February 14th. Let's see. NASCAR Xfinity Series, February 15th. The United Rentals 300. Let's see. The World Superbike Championship kicks off February 22nd. More Craftsman trucks at the Freight FR8 208 in Atlanta.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Xfinity Bennett Transportation and Logistics 250.
Dear Lord.
Always a classic. World Endurance Championship Qatar. The Qatar 1,812 kilometers. Nice round number.
That's bigger than all the roads in Qatar.
The MotoGP Buriram Sprint is at the Chang International Circuit in Thailand. Motocross Grand Prix Argentina at the Infinito racetrack.
Wow.
In Cordoba province. And
What
we got
prefecture is
NASCAR. What Argentinian prefecture? Not sure. NASCAR happening on Sunday, February 16th. It's the Daytona 500. Maybe
Lord.
you've heard of it. It's on the beach, right? This race up 500 miles of beach.
Beautiful.
Let's go away. Let's go away to the F1 launch event on February 18th. That's happening. And I think everyone is supposed to be there. All the drivers and teams and team principals and everything. Each team will apparently get 7 minutes to do whatever they want.
Whatever they want. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of whipped cream. Just
Smashing tables off each other.
yeah.
Some improv.
They'll be going in reverse championship order. So starting with Sauber.
Great. Can't wait to see that.
And this will only be liveries. So
Yeah.
teams,
They really this was supposed to stop the thing that it has not stopped. It has just created another event that everyone has to tune into.
yes, and in fact, because Williams is announcing they're doing their car launch before this on February 14th.
Oh,
just
no,
10 days
really?
from now. Yes,
Oh, that's
and
so
they are not allowed to show their new livery. So they will have to have their new car in their old livery. The only other launches that I'm aware of is Mercedes on February 24th and Red Bull on February 25th, which is right before, it's like leaving it days before testing. So
That is so
that's what's
stupid.
going on there.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna have last year's sponsors on it.
I guess, or maybe like
no
a
sponsors.
kind of a blank livery. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we will be back the week of March 3rd, and then so testing happens, the week prior. So our March 3rd episode we'll be able to take testing into account. Testing is Wednesday, February 26th through Friday, February 28th. Our podcast will start back up the week after that, and then we'll be doing weekly from there on. The first actual race is the Australian Grand Prix on March 16th, local time, although it'll be March 15th, Saturday, for us in the U.S. Anything else? First race, testing, F1 launches, next pod. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk about next season and what we think about it when we're doing the in the preseason and Melbourne podcasts and all that sort of stuff. But I am hoping it's going to be pretty good. You know, these last year of a generation ones are often interesting as everyone's converged. And there's going to be a lot of races again. So, like, if there's a lot of races and they've converged, hopefully that means there's going to be not too much daylight between the teams as we get down to the bottom end of the season.
Yeah, and what we learned from last year is you never know. Even though one team might look that they are dominating, things can shift.
Yeah, Max might curse by accident.
And then be eliminated from the championship.
Banned from all tracks and have to drive his car remotely from off the track or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything's possible. I've watched too much anime.
Danny, do you have the book handy?
Oh, sugar. Do I have the book? Stall for a second. I do. It's right here.
Great.
It's right here. It's hiding underneath my copy of Quake 3 on the Dreamcast, which I always keep.
The most Danny O'Dwyer thing I've ever heard you say.
Exactly. Some people keep like a little pocket Constitution on them. I always make sure I've got the best version of Orb. What'd you say?
That thing's useless now.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's replace the Constitution with rail guns. We'll all be better off. Let's go with February 5th. The day this podcast will go up. February 5th. Here we go. Manfred von Braustick, the last surviving member of the Silver Arrow drivers, the elite band of racers who drove the legendary Mercedes-Benz Grand Prix cars between the wars. I never knew that that's what Silver Arrows meant. There you go. Huh. died on this day in 2003 at the tender young age of 97. When Mercedes decided to start a factory racing team, team boss Alfred Neubar hired von Brauchstick to drive. If you ever wonder what country this team is from, the team's first race was this is unfair, the Eifelrennen at the Nürburgring in 1934, but to their dismay, the new car was just over the 750 kilogram weight limit. According to Neubar, he and von Brauchstick hit on the idea of scraping the white paint off the cars.
Holy
the
shit.
Silver Arrows were born.
Whoa.
And von Brauchstick drove the car to victory in its first race.
That is our best. That is our best day in history yet. That's actually cool as hell.
Yeah.
Very cool. I didn't know any of that. So that makes it even cooler. And also it's a fun story that involves a bunch of German people in the late 30s. So that's novel as well.
True. Don't get a lot of those.
He won 2 more races, the 1937 Monaco Grand Prix and the 1938 French Grand Prix, but he was often cursed with bad luck. He lived till he was 97. He wasn't fucking...
Yeah, as F1 drivers go, the luck was pretty good.
In the 30s, and he survived at least one war, maybe 2 of them. When was he born? 2093, 2000? Yeah, he probably served. He at least survived the first war. Anyway, bad luck, and lost a number of races that were within his grasp, notably the 1935 German Grand Prix when he blew a tire on the last lap, handing a famous victory to Tazio Nuvolari in an Alfa Romeo. Yeah. I'd say he had pretty good luck. I think I'd be happy with 97 if my main profession was driving Formula 1 cars in the death years and avoiding 2 world wars as a German person. Yeah, I think you did all right. Yeah. That's not bad.
All right. Well, final thoughts here on this off-season news update episode. Danny?
Yeah, good to be back. Good to see you, boys, and excited for a new one. It's gonna be a long season, and it's gonna be hopefully a pretty interesting one. As is next year. I think good time to be an F1 fan. I think at the moment.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Rob?
I'm wondering if this is the year I get into WRC. YouTube was like, you want to watch the FIA's WRC like greatest highlights from the season, and it was like 20 minutes of the most bonkers shit I've ever seen. And I was like, they do this? This is legal? They allow people in cars to do this in places like this, surrounded by people doing this. Like, and I was like, I didn't realize. Like, but that's a highlight reel. That's 20 minutes on an entire WRC season.
Yeah, and from when I was tried following it, you gotta like highlights because that's really how you kind of gotta watch rally.
It's kind of like golf, like they're long sessions that you're sort of half watching a bit. You know what I mean? Or you kind of watch it when it's down to I gotta watch this hole. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean they may now with their streaming service or whatever. I'm sure they have allow you to watch full sessions, and maybe given that you like watching cycling, it might be. Maybe the perfect blend, actually, Rob, between that and Formula One.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Keep us posted.
I can't watch. I love rally. I think rally was on TV a lot in Ireland. Like it's pretty big in Ireland and the UK. Because of my just like OCD and anxiety, I find it so hard to watch with the spectators. I'm constantly terrified that somebody's about to get fucking destroyed by a car, which it like never happens. But I mean, it does happen, but it like very rarely happens. But it's just same reason I can't watch the Isle of Man TT live anymore. Oh my God. It's just like,
no, live? No.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
If you would like to support the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift F1 Discord, you could do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Thanks to everyone in the Discord for keeping it cool.
Yeah.
Over the season break, I checked in there almost daily, and there was people posting.
You kids all right in here?
Fun,
you okay?
Fun stuff. People watching Redline again.
Oh man, Funky Boy, let's go.
Yeah, someone said, I had heard about Funky Boy, and every time a new character showed up, I said, Is this Funky Boy?
Oh my god.
None of them were Funky Boy.
Oh my god, you must have been elated when you finally met Funky Boy.
I can only imagine, because you'd be thinking, if you now know about this, you're like, well, I'm just gonna look for the funkiest guy,
right?
And that dude,
right.
that movie has people are gonna be like, that guy seems pretty funky, and it's just you're just in the wrong. You can't really you can't understand Funky Boy till you've seen it.
Yeah.
You know, like people are like funky, and then there's like that's got a funk to it. That's kind of funky.
Yeah.
It's more of the latter. I feel like.
It's really its own definition.
And it's definitely a boy as well.
Well, on that note, have a good race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next time.